This video is for Richard over in France who wanted an update on what was going on. This is the final prototype bracket. They're going to be mass produced off of this one. This is a bracket that you haven't seen yet. You can see it's got both screws on both sides, and that's threaded in the aluminum. There's a slit there made so that the I'm going to take all this off so you can see in a second. The fan is hanging, okay, the fan is hanging there as well. I don't know if you noticed or not, but you got double rubber gaskets on each side there. Everything is very stable. Back here in the back, we have a hole cut so that you can see through. Normally you wouldn't be able to see through here, but you can see what's going on, how tight everything actually is. Right here, it's literally about 2 millimeters from touching the front end of the car. I think, yeah, right there, it's about 2 millimeters from touching the front of the car. And then you've got the fan. That's the fan right there, and then you can see through the fan into the set trab. So, yeah, so it's a tight fit. We've got the biggest cooler you can possibly fit in there. I have the headlight out right now. One of the big downfalls to our kit that I realized is a person is not going to be able to slide the headlight in and out, nor can they put the kit in and out with the headlight in, because you can't get to this bolt right here to tighten it. So what you have to do is you have to take this off, this fender. It's not the end of the world. It's like 8 bolts all the way around, 7. And it comes right off. You put the headlight in, then you put the fender back in last. And then of course the nose back on top. But it's still a no-cut solution. There's no cutting of the car that is required. Here you can see we've taken the grill out. That way you can see back in here how tight everything is. There is a all thread that connects to the cooler. And that all thread is mounted to a very stable point. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to look into K-Tech's, just their front piece that replaces this right here. They have a carbon piece. I'm not going to use their ducts. I want to keep the brake ducts intact. It doesn't do us any good to use their ducts. But what I want to do is I want to see about that carbon piece, and then also, actually, you know what? I know right now why the carbon piece isn't going to work, because the brake duct would look silly with the carbon piece there. Anyhow, what I'm going to do is, here is the stock honeycomb piece. This right here, this area, I'm thinking about cutting that out. And what that'll do is that will allow the air to come in here. Now, there's going to be, if this is being used as an oil cooler, we have to use -12 line, and the line is going to come down right here alongside the cooler. So what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to construct a split, okay? So everything to the right of my finger goes down the brake duct. Everything to the left of my finger, I'm going to create a turnaround scoop, basically, that comes around to the front of this cooler. So let me take off the front end of the car real quick so you can see here where we are. Let's see, I've done this a few times now. So, front end off the car, put that over in the grass, and oh, by the way, we created a horn relocation kit because the horn used to be over here. We're making room for the oil cooler on that side. They're going to be perfectly symmetrical. This side is going to be used for radiator fluid. But the problem here is when you use the -12, so this side won't have the problem, but imagine this side on the opposite side, okay, the mirror image. Let me see if I can get the right piece here to show you. But here you can see how everything looks. That's sandwiched on there, and then the headlight comes on top of this. So you would back this nut back off, and then that nut and a washer goes back on top of the headlight. The headlight will not slide on because this interferes right here with the headlight sliding in and out. So that's why the headlight has to be placed in after this is removed. Okay, and then I was going to show you here real quick what the dilemma is. So since we're doing things right for oil flow, this is a -12 AN line, okay? So imagine right there. If you put it like this, you're going to need the clearance right here. You're going to need to cut away this just a little bit with a die grinder. But if you don't want to cut anything and you don't want to hit that with a die grinder, then the only other option is to go down with it. So when you go down with it, it clears everything, but what it's going to do is it's going to invade right here next to the brake duct. Okay, so right here, if you look at it from above, there's enough room there where it'll go on down, and you're actually not blocking air because we're not trying to let air go to the back. You know, we're trying to let air go to the brake, and we're trying to get air to come forward. So the fact that there's going to be a line here is of no consequence. The line will go down and go underneath. This will give you a better shot at the all thread back there mounted to a hard bolt. Okay, and the all thread comes up here. This is the cooler that we vowed we were never going to use since I cracked it, but I figured out a way to use it now. I've reinforced it there with aluminum. So I'm going to go ahead and use this cooler on another car. So this is going to be our third car. The other two brackets that we made are on other cars being tested. The owners don't want to identify their cars for warranty purposes, but that's what's going on there. So yeah, we relocated the horn here. This is a custom bracket that I made. It puts the horns up here, and as you saw, the nose clears. So this is going to be symmetrical over here. So this is actually where the issue is going to be, is on this side with the oil cooler. And so that'll be that. The last thing is this bottom space right here is not being utilized. If a person wanted to, they could maybe run 2 tiny coolers down in here and use them for oil, but keep in mind, I've got this lower a little bit than what it's supposed to be. So what happens is it comes back up. This really is a perfectly tight fit. Everything barely fits with this kit. So it's the biggest cooler you're going to be able to put in, unless a person wants to remove the brake duct. I'm going to show you why removing the brake duct is somewhat counterproductive. If you do remove it, you only pick up a couple more inches, okay? And even if you pick up that couple more inches, where are these going to go? You see, you've got to have clearance for your fittings. So, and then the other reason, the biggest reason, is the fan. The fan is only so big, and the fan only moves air through its pattern. So even if you ran a cooler this extra length and got rid of the brake ducts, then a person would want to get the K-Tech front end. But I have other ideas. If I was in K-Tech shoes, I'd be doing things a lot differently than what they are, but to each their own. And but yeah, I want to check out K-Tech's front end and that carbon piece and see how it does look with all this. I just don't know that it's going to look very good with this just hanging there in midair with their front end. I'm not sure. And again, it's not going to get you anything. If you rewind in the video, you're going to see that it's not going to get here. What you need is an opening on this side. So I wanted to point out something. One of the things that I considered is putting small holes here along the bottom, okay, and that would be right above the splitter. And what happens is that's an air trap anyway, so if you put some small holes down here, right here along this edge, that would allow air to get into here very easily. And again, that fan is going to be pulling that air through there. That is a really high powered fan. It's the most powerful fan that Spall makes. So